Welcome back to Well, friends. Today's episode is very exciting because we're talking about international travel and the retreat industry. I've brought on my friend Jen Russell, who is the founder of Elevate Retreats. She's also the owner of Flight Room, a set of aerial studios in Seattle, and one of the leaders of Studio Scale, a coaching business for boutique fitness studios. Jen is one of those folks who seems to be doing it all, but she has genuinely brought together all of the pieces of the puzzle for retreats. You're going to be jealous of her job by the end of this episode. But what Elevate Retreats does is allows wellness leaders who want to offer unforgettable retreats an opportunity to do so without dealing with the stress of planning, logistics, and also, most importantly, the financial risk. They figured out a business model that I am kicking myself I didn't think of first, but you're going to want to get in on this, and I can't wait for you to hear the results. Jen, thank you so much for joining us on Well.
I'm so happy to be here in Chat Retreats.
I know this is going to be a fun conversation. For those of you listening right now, I can't tell you how many times we've had people bring up retreats as a topic they're interested in. This is something that's a hot topic in Facebook groups all over the world when it comes to fitness and wellness. And you, my friend, are one of the experts we lean on for all things retreats. So if you wouldn't mind for our audience, would you just tell everyone a little bit about you? Give us some context here. How did you land where you are?
How did I end up in the retreat space, the wellness space? You bet.
Yeah.
I'm quite different, I think, from a lot of wellness leaders, teachers, studio owners, and that I come from a background in marketing and fundraising, so nonprofit experience with both. Really just had a passion for fitness, for yoga, and felt like this is, what I need to do. So when I was in my late 30s, I was like, I'm going to make this happen. Long story short, I won't bore you with all the details. I ended up impulse buying an aerial yoga studio after attending literally one class, not even enjoying it, and deciding like aerial yoga is not going to be my thing. I'll just add bar and yoga and kind of what I want to do. And then we grew it to 4 studios. Just sold 2 of them in January, which was super, super exciting.
Oh my gosh.
And then still have the 2 brick and mortar here in Seattle. And as an outgrowth of that work, have been leading international retreats since 2019. And again, very much like my story with owning Flight Room in general, it was not something I sought out to do particularly. I kind of stumbled into it. Our first retreat we hosted because I got kind of a cold outreach email from Shinalani in Mexico, which still is like absolute favorite venues to work with. And I just have kind of discovered over the past few years, if I say yes to opportunities that sound exciting, it ends up just opening this whole like new doorway to adventure and fun. So I said, great, yeah, let's do it. I don't even think, Laura, I looked at like pricing or like I just was like, great, let's book this week and like, we'll make it work and it'll be fabulous. And then we kind of forged ahead. So I've learned a lot about sort of operating my retreat business starting out that way compared to how we do it now. And it's been really fun for me to work, with other folks in the wellness space in general as part of kind of my consulting and coaching business because I come from such a different background. I find like the vast majority of folks usually start like as a teacher and then fall in love with that and then decide to kind of take the next step into studio ownership, where when I bought my studio, I wasn't certified in anything. I kind of caught up and like learned that all along the way. So for me, I've always kind of taken a sales and marketing orientation toward my work, whether it's for, brick and mortar studios, retreats, etc. So that's been kind of a fun compliment for me again, when, we're talking about like working with other studio owners, is that they have so much background that they bring that I don't necessarily have. And then I can kind of help with some of the more marketing pieces.
Amazing. A lot of people ask me how I juggle it all and how I do what I do, leading a software company and having kids and everything. I'm a big traveler like you are. And then I look at you and I'm like, how do I do it all? How do you do it all?
No, but I still feel like I have so much business in my schedule. That's the thing about being, an entrepreneur. I think that's so exciting is that the volume of work is really high, but it's flexible. And
Mhm.
being able to kind of juggle it around, my own priorities, like you have two kids, have, yeah, a lot of kind of different pieces in the air. It's really exciting and energizing for me too. And I think there's like the particular type of brain that just
Yes.
really like needs that, right? That's just gets a lot of creative charge from it. Like even when I was a little kid, I was, I remember my friend like put together like one little like cute headband and I was like, oh, we could totally sell these. So we like went door to door and like took orders, had no stock of headbands. After that, we went back and told her mom, like, you have to help us make like 35 headbands. So that's kind of always been like my vibe. I'm like, oh, this is exciting. Like, let's sell it. And then, we'll kind of
We'll
build like
figure out
for
yeah,
it later. Totally.
you've
So
mastered the building the plane while you fly it. I love it.
exactly, right? And
Yeah.
I find that really exciting and fun. So again, it's an exciting challenge for me to work with folks who are a little bit more kind of like grounded in the work itself and maybe find that piece of things really chaotic and
Right.
not exciting. So being able to kind of complement, I think, some other folks in the industry has been lovely.
Oh, so much fun. Well, retreats have become, I mean, just the wellness industry in general is growing like crazy. And there is this new commitment to investing in your health and committing to not just daily practices and memberships that will help bring health and wellness into your life, but also experiences. And we have Gen Z kind of coming up now that have
Yes.
a lot
Oh my
more
gosh.
money to spend
Yes.
on wellness. And what we are seeing is that they love to travel and want to spend money on wellness
Yeah, and are
travel.
willing to invest.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So how are you seeing that growth impact studios and I guess from your perspective, is it starting to saturate a bit or are you seeing the market opportunity still strong?
I think I just read something that says the retreat industry is expected to hit, oh, it's an insane number. It's like $400 billion
Oh
a
my gosh.
year in 6 years, which is still exponential growth from where we are now. And I think, like you said, I really think it's a few things. I think Gen Z in particular seems to be so committed to proactive health and
Mm,
wellness as opposed to reactive. You're seeing folks in that generation drinking less, like eating more plant based. And by the way, I'm making no judgments on drinking or eating meat. I do both of those things. It's just like it's like
same.
I admire what they're doing, right? I'm like, good for you. But we're seeing so much of that kind of global behavior shift in their daily lives, not just in kind of how they're showing up to travel. And they're so intentional, I think, about
Right.
travel choices too. And if you're looking at spending, $3,000-4,000 on a vacation, I think there really is this growing segment of the population that is asking themselves, well, what am I going to get out of this that's not just sitting on a beach for 7 days, which is also very lovely and important, but what is it going to allow me to carry with me, 3 months, 6 months, a year,
Yeah.
past the experience. And what I have found really interesting too, um, is that even folks now, again, kind of in that Gen Z age range who maybe don't have a ton of discretionary income, is their um, willingness to prioritize it for health and wellness. So we, see even like grad students, who are making sacrifices to do their monthly flight room membership or to come with us on an annual retreat because they feel like they're getting so much value out of that. So it's not even just a question of discretionary income. Because I talk to lots of studio owners who, maybe if they're not serving a particularly affluent group, might think like, oh, retreats are off the table for us because my average folks aren't going to spend, several $1,000s. But what we're finding is that on a lot of these trips, it's not just the people who have, a ton of discretionary money. It's people who are allocating the funds they have in a really intentional way.
That's a great call out. And I think it's probably a blocker for a lot of business owners. They have a mindset around, their clients have scarcity or they're not able to afford these. And so why spend the time and energy on it? I know when we intentionally put things like payment plans in building Walla, that was part of the reason. But now even we're planning to launch a firm. And actually, by the time this is out, we might have a firm in Klarna already. But things like,
oh my gosh, I'm so excited about that. I can't even tell you. We use that so much. After paying Klarna right now, we use for retreats. And the ability for the studio owner to get paid upfront is amazing. And then, of course, for the person to be able to choose, maybe a payment plan over 2 years if they need to, is just a really outstanding opportunity. So I can't even tell you how excited we are that
it's coming. It's coming.
Great.
But what I will say, it's been a mindset shift across the board, not just for giant ticket items, right? Like you see Klarna or Afterpay or Affirm on every purchase. I mean, I bought something the other day that was like $50 and it was like your payments would be $2.71. And I was like, what? But that actually, I mean, I feel very blessed and lucky that I can afford $50 pants or whatever it might have been. But for someone else, that makes it accessible. So there is a mindset now of I don't have to always think about buying something at the ticket price that it's posted. And so I encourage everybody listening who's thought about retreats to just throw any money mindset you've had around this out the window, because the world has changed so dramatically when it comes to, just being able to afford things like laser hair removal. I hear my daughter's, she's got girls on her volleyball team at high school who were talking about getting, and I was like, wait a second, this is
my gosh,
thousands of dollars. And they're like, no.
Yes, totally. It's like the teenagers are prioritizing an incredible amount of what little, money they have on self-care. My 16-year-old, same way, she was telling me she needs to stock up on some beauty products. And I was looking at what she wanted to order. And I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, I know. I don't spend that much money on mine.
Exactly. Like I'm still ordering, the drugstore stuff. So we're absolutely seeing that, I think, for sure. And I think the other thing studio owners need to keep in mind, and that I constantly find this as a complete revelation, excuse me. I'm like, that came out. I'm an English major, everybody. Is that it's actually easier in a lot of ways to sell, $10,000, $3,000 tickets than it is to sell $300, $150 memberships every month. So I think it's really easy to get stuck in that mindset of, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm killing myself trying to get 200, yoga studio members, 200 people to pay me $150. How on earth am I going to get people to pay, 3,000 plus? And the reality is, it's just, you need fewer people in order to make that both work. Yeah. That for most folks who have any kind of built-in audience, getting to that, like 8 to 15 person retreat is not nearly as challenging as they might anticipate at the offset.
Okay, so let's talk about that. 8 to 15 people in some of your retreats. Is there a sweet spot that you found for a fitness studio to host a retreat? What's too few people? What's too many?
Yes. And again, this is one of those things that I totally learned by doing. First of all, our first ever retreat, I learned exactly how much chaos can be involved in retreats. And I got the flu like 3 days before I was going to go. So I got a last minute teacher to cover for me. Super chaotic, ended up happening beautifully. I think we had maybe 12 people for that retreat. But my first time actually serving as the host, we had, I think it was 32. It was insane. I felt like I didn't get a chance to even talk to everybody individually while I was down there. People had a great time. So from that perspective, it was very successful. It certainly made a lot of money. It it just was so much less about the connection than I was hoping for. So I have found the sweet spot to be somewhere between 10 and 20. 15 is just super ideal. What that allows is it's enough people um, that as long as you're pricing correctly, you'll be profitable. You'll feel like you're adequately compensated for your time. It's also enough people that if there are some personalities who maybe don't get along super well, there's plenty of like options for people to hang out with. You're not like talking about, okay, a group of 4 people and they better really like all 4 of them. But it's not so overwhelming that either you've got to run a ton of different classes every day, or you're like, we can't accommodate a hike with everybody. We've got to now run like, different groups. We just had one in Italy in the fall. I was sick for that one as well. Only have missed 2 retreats, and that was one of them. And there, because we're primarily an aerial yoga studio, a lot of the retreat venues we partner with offer aerial rigging. And this one did, but I think we only had 6 silks. So that meant like all day we were running, kind of back-to-back classes. Same thing, we had a horseback riding excursion that originally we kind of thought everybody could do at the same time. That was also limited to like 6 people. So it created so much kind of back end work. So looking at, the number of people you'd want to have in each class, my recommendation is to kind of cap at least your first retreat at like what that particular venue can kind of easily accommodate. So you're offering like a morning class and evening class, and you don't feel like you've got to,
Oh, that's a great
structure,
call
like
out.
essentially an entire studio schedule while you're on retreat.
Yeah, that's a great call out. These are the logistical things that you probably don't consider when you're just thinking about the money side of it and also the excitement factor. So,
And the excitement factor, totally. And every retreat, I make brand new mistakes and learn how to kind of avoid that in the future. So there is no teacher like experience. And I do believe I've made like, I'm not going to say all the mistakes because I'm certainly make more, but I've made a good chunk of them for sure.
I mean, do you have any memorable ones that really backfired on you?
Oh my gosh. I would say the biggest mistake in general is trusting a venue website as opposed to if you can't realistically view it in person, you better be able to talk to people you trust who have been there. Relying on photos, online reviews, that can all be so sort of creatively marketed. That yes, we've had a couple of experiences where we've walked in there and gone, this was not how we pictured it. And one of them was also at the same time like the most expensive retreat we had put on. So we felt like there was this incredible disparity between what we committed to our guests and what ended up being delivered. And that's just a terrible feeling to have as the host.
Yeah.
Luckily, people had a lovely time. I mean, it was one of those things where we had a really fabulous group of people. Nobody complained. We had some complaints about the food because that was a whole. I could spend hours just about retreat food.
Yes.
But yes, I would say definitely the venue everything is going to flow from there. And if you work with a great partner, everything else you're going to be able to adjust. Like for example, Sheena Lani, one of our favorite partners down in Mexico. So they're about 45 minute boat ride away from Puerto Vallarta. So with all of the recent violence down there, they had, I think 3 retreats happening. While that happened, they had more.
One of our clients was there.
Was that Sheena Lani?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
They just got back yesterday.
Oh my God. But they proactively had a meeting that I went to via Zoom to kind of talk about the impact. They talked about up-leveling support. So things can and do go wrong. So making sure that you are being held by people who do this every single day and do it well is so, so critical. So many people that I talk to who've, done their first retreat start with like booking maybe an Airbnb or a villa. And it's almost like they think it's going to be easier, right? Like I'll just rent this place and then we'll do the food. And I actually just spoke to somebody this morning who she and her 78-year-old mother, her first retreat, they did all of the cooking themselves. And she said, by the time they finished breakfast and cleaned it up, they were like having to prepare for lunch while she's also trying to teach like breath work workshops and like a yoga flow in the afternoon. And it just ended up, she needed a full like vacation when she got home because while she delivered a great experience for her folks, like huge burnout. Where I always like to talk to people when they're kind of embarking on retreat planning is how can you also benefit from that nervous system reset so you feel like you're partaking in the retreat as well. And that really starts with having, a venue that is expert in what they do. So if you're, if you are going to do something like an independent rental and hiring a chef or what have you, like making sure you have coordinator on the ground support so that you're not
the one doing it all.
In a million different directions.
Yeah, it's an interesting moment in time where we really can't trust what we see with our eyes. And it's, genuinely anything can be generated by AI. And so if you're just looking at images online, even videos online, there is a very high likelihood that you're seeing something that's not reality. And I love what you guys are putting together because it's such you've done the work behind the scenes.
Exactly. And we personally, all of the retreat venues that we're partnering with now, either we've personally hosted with them or we're very deliberately selecting a pilot host who understands that their role is to kind of come into a new market with us and give us feedback on the experience. I'll still visit personally every single place we ever partner with so I can taste their food, I can be in their yoga shalas, their fitness spaces, what have you. It's just such a tactile experience that if you can't put your arms around it, I think it's really, it's challenging, and it's also just harder to sell it too, right? If you haven't been there or kind of had the, the more on the ground experience. So that's something we're able to help our folks with is really market it in an effective way based on having been there ourselves.
Yeah, I think all of us right now want your job going and testing out resorts and tasting food.
Going to like check out new retreat venues and try their food. Oh my God. I know. It was like, how did I come up with this gig? This is like, I thought I had a nice lifestyle when it was just aerial yoga. And now it's like, oh, that plus retreats. Okay.
Yeah, good job. You know what?
Twist my arm.
The life lesson here is say yes, right?
You said. Absolutely. That totally is. Like follow adventure, follow what's kind of appealing. And some things will absolutely work out. Some you'll decide aren't for you, but it just opens incredible doors.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, let's talk about some of the logistics here. Imagine you're somebody who's considering this for the first time, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners are in that position. How do you start researching? What do you need in place in order to start this process? Do you need a brick and mortar studio? Do you need a large email audience? Give us the details.
Those are fabulous questions. And honestly, where most people start is by Googling retreat venues and kind of figuring out where they want to go. And while I understand completely that impulse, it's exactly what you are saying. It's like, let's look at the audience first. So what makes someone prepared to offer a retreat? The good news is for most folks listening to this podcast, likely have a built-in following. If you're using Walla as software, you already have, or at least are growing a robust business. But there are lots of people who might, teach yoga here and there or studios around town or a gym, but don't necessarily have like an independent contact list. Certainly have something incredible to offer in terms of a transformational experience on retreat, but don't necessarily have the community to make that profitable or even financially viable. So in terms of what we generally recommend is a warm contact list of at least 500 people. So either, emails, phones, an incredibly engaged social followings. That would be largely, so if you're talking about maybe like an online teacher who has a pretty broad following, and that's where he or they stay in touch with their folks, that certainly counts. Um, and then it's so important to actually validate interest before you move forward. I would say that is a step that is skipped by 90% of first-time retreat planners and is absolutely the step skipped that ends up in losing a $5,000 deposit. So one of the things that we do in our program, and that I just recommend everybody do, sorry, my dog's walking around.
That's okay.
The little clicking sounds, those are Newfoundland toenails.
Aw.
What I recommend everybody do is start just with a really simple interest survey. And you can, if for example, that you want to go, either to Mexico or Costa Rica, and you're looking at maybe, July through March, you can do just the basic Google research to come up with kind of price ranges for those types of experiences. And then send that survey out, and you'll find out, are people interested in traveling with you? Are they interested in making, a financial commitment at a particular price? Do these times of the years work for them? And then you always want to ask, kind of, how excited are you? Like, either I'm ready to put down my deposit the second you open registration, down to like, if the stars align and someone gives me $3,000 extra money, I'm like, right? And then usually you want to see, so if you're aiming for a retreat in like the 10 to 15% range, which I think is really great for a first-time host, you'd want to see at least 30 people fill out that survey, indicating somewhere between the like, yeah, I'm pretty interested to I'm super interested. That lets you know that you're kind of on the right track. We also recommend always opening with a wait list versus going straight to registration. That again kind of takes that group and moves it down to people who are even more invested, giving them kind of an early registration bonus, so that by the time you actually click like send and your retreat registration website is live, you should have a group of people that are warm and primed and ready. Selling something, like I said, selling a $3,000 offer to 10 people is, I think, easier in a lot of ways than selling a smaller ticket offer, but it does require a little bit more kind of marketing runway. And so many first-time leaders, it's like, bam, here's our website, go, pay $1,000 deposit, even though we haven't kind of talked about this before. And, and then they get panicky, and then it's like, oh my gosh, now they're discounting to try to fill it out. And then pretty soon at the end of a year of planning, they're going, oh, I lost $300 on this and gave 80% of my life force to this over the course of the last 12 months. It does not need to be that way. It should not be that way, but it's totally understandable. It is, because they're like, none of us are born knowing how to do this, and this is the first adventure, for a lot of us.
Okay, cool. And then as far as using technology through that process, again, we'll talk a little bit more about how you guys streamline this, but are there certain tech tools that have made all of that easier for you? Like if you had to talk about, here's how we're either using AI or forms, or, give us the breakdown.
Absolutely. So first I would say, your CRM, your studio software is huge. So one of the things we really value about Walla is the ability, once you've sent an email maybe to your whole database, you can see exactly who has clicked it, which is obviously so much higher intentionality, right, than someone who's just opened it. So being able to, when you kind of first send out the we're thinking about this email, and you're starting to just market the idea of your retreat, having that tech piece that will allow you to actually follow up personally with people is huge. So as people are thinking about tech, I always like to remind them, it's really to help you get to that next level of relationship building with people. It's not to replace it. So much of retreat sales is going to be that personal follow-up, inviting people, to have a phone call with you, to go over questions they have, talk to them in the studio, what have you, send them a quick text message. Like I use audiences in Walla all the time. So because it buzzes out the text and the email at the same time, and it's just amazing. Using tech to kind of help facilitate those personal connections is huge. Also, things like form creation, organizational systems, spreadsheets, so much of that when you start talking about kind of building like the scaffolding of your retreat management system, it can be super, super helpful. Where I see people overusing it a lot in ways that maybe isn't as effective is with a lot of the actual marketing content. People want to come to a retreat because they're connected to you and your studio and like your particular medicine. And not that you can't have like ChatGPT clean up your email or maybe reverse, like start with a draft if you're someone like I am who I'm like, I can massage this if you give me kind of the framework. But it's so amazing, like online now, because I follow all of these retreat sites, like my Facebook is just 100% retreats. And it's like, I see the same marketing for so many different things. And it's like, well, every experience is going to be so unique to that particular studio. And it's so much more effective to be less polished, but just so much more authentically Laura. And you're inviting people to do this with you. And if they feel like this is in your voice and they trust you, their ability then to want to invest at that higher level just goes way up. So, so it's kind of knowing like where to plug it in, where not, and then just to kind of continually keep in mind that we're using it as a strategic tool to kind of facilitate those relationships, not to replace them. It's one of my favorite things that I like to use it for when we are talking about kind of crafting emails is if there is maybe like a challenging client. I use this all the time with Lightroom or retreats where you can just kind of give AI like, here's the basic message, and then have it, warmed up, professionalized a little bit. So we definitely use it as a go-to for kind of those those tricky one-off communications that we all periodically have.
Oh, for sure. Which is like, all I want to say is F you, but I'm not going to say F you, and I need to be professional right now.
And then like, let me do this through ChatGPT, and then this sounds a lot more professional.
Yes, for sure. Oh, that's so great. Well, I like what you said about, it being technology being the pathway to a deeper relationship. And something I always mention is anytime the price goes up, the higher ticket the item, the more personal the sales process has to be. 100%. And so if you try to replace yourself with technology in this sales process, you probably will not be as successful. And that leads me to driving the relationships actually in the experience. So do you recommend connecting people that are coming on the trip ahead of time? Do you have any kind of like community container that helps them feel comfortable when they arrive?
Absolutely. So one of the biggest hesitations guests often have before signing up is the worry that maybe they're going to register and like everybody else on the trip already knows each other, or everybody else on the retreat is bringing, a partner or a family member or friend. So there is lots of anxiety about, okay, I'm coming to this. This is maybe the first time I've done something like this. Maybe I've seen a couple of these people in class. They're not my besties. I'm going to feel out of the loop. So we do a lot of proactive marketing around that, letting people know the majority of folks sign up not knowing other people on the retreat. It's a great opportunity to make friends, to meet folks. You're certainly welcome to bring a guest with you. Absolutely don't feel like you need to still feel like you're very connected and involved. And then, yes, we always do a retreat kickoff call about a month before.
Cool.
So that's an opportunity to, on Zoom, put faces and names together. Everybody shares a little bit about who they are, what sort of sparked signing up for this retreat, the relationship, if they have one, with the studio. So in the case of ours with Lightroom, it's amazing though how many people will sign up for a retreat after they've taken like literally one class, or they came across it on Google, or, their friend is coming and they've never tried aerial yoga before and they're going to give it a shot for their first time.
I love it.
So I would say many people are just going to be surprised, right, by who ultimately ends up registering. It's not necessarily going to be like your top 20 ride or die regular studio students. It can be a totally different group. But yes, starting to create those connection opportunities in advance, really, really important. And then we always have a welcome restorative practice. We allow people to kind of get to the venue and
Right.
decompress a little bit, right? Put your goodies away, have a little snack, what have you. And then oftentimes we'll do dinner together, and then a welcome restorative practice. And then by that next morning, people feel pretty integrated and connected with the group. Every group is so different. And it sounds so cheesy, but it's true. It really feels like the exact right people who are supposed to be there are there. And I know we were talking a lot about Gen Z folks, but we see people all across the age spectrum. And that's been one of the really fun things is just seeing kind of, more generational mixing going on and people from different backgrounds. Again, some folks who are like on that retreat because they are into whatever, kind of fitness modality that studio is offering. And some are just like, they kind of happened upon it, have never tried this before. You'll also get people who go to every single class that you have, and you'll have people who literally go to the first one and then they're like, I'm going to drink margaritas and like walk by the pool. And like, I've figured out that's what I need this week. So that's okay too. Right. So it's, it's a huge range, and connection happens really organically, but I 100% recommend having some kind of pre-trip kickoff, whether it's on Zoom in person. We tried in person a couple times. It just got so challenging with schedules. And then you really felt like if only a third of the people could make it, like better to do.
Defeats the purpose. Yeah. The whole point is to get them together. Okay. I love that. I think I've gone on a few wellness retreats, and it really is interesting the way you said the people who should be there show up, and it really is cross-generational. I went on, in my 20s, I went on a retreat to Belize, a yoga retreat. And my favorite person on the retreat ended up being this like old man who was there, and he was a nature photographer. Like that was he had done a little bit of yoga, but he just wanted to take pictures of the birds and the creatures and the iguanas in the jungle. So at night we would all like hover around his camera and look at the amazing pictures that he took. And so that ended up being the person I will never forget from the retreat.
I feel like everybody carries something away from the retreat they didn't necessarily anticipate needing or, going there for. And it is, I think so much of it is sort of this serendipitous collection of people that you never would have the opportunity otherwise to be with. And you're in such a kind of immersive, lovely container together that you form these really amazing friendships.
Oh, it's so awesome. Well, tell us a little bit about your retreat business that has evolved out of all of this experience, because I have not heard of anybody else doing this, and I think it is so genius, and I'm mad at myself that I didn't think of it first.
You didn't think of it? Oh, I was like, this is the best friggin' idea anybody's ever had. I kept going, am I sure no one else has done this? So really, this was an outgrowth of working with our coaching clients in particular. So we just talked to a number of people who said, I would love to do my own retreat. And they ran up against one, sometimes both of these roadblocks. One was just planning bandwidth. Like, I'm running a studio, I'm teaching classes, I've got a personal life. Oh my God, I'm barely keeping things together as it is. I don't have hundreds of hours to devote to this to make it successful. The other roadblock folks run into is legal liability and financial risk. So the whole idea of, am I going to put down $5,000 without knowing, I'm going to have the 10 people who will show up, or like, oh my gosh, how does, liability even work when I'm in Mexico and I'm teaching and et cetera, et cetera. So I said, well, what if we could kind of flip it so that we take on that stuff? So we take on the logistic piece, we create the marketing plan, all of that good stuff. And then even more importantly, I think for folks, we take on the financial risk piece. So we're the ones who contract directly with a venue. And again, these are folks or venues that we've personally had retreats, love working with. We make all the payments. the individual host guests register directly with us. So we're also the ones responsible then if a host like missed a payment or a guest missed a payment, we follow up. If a guest needs to cancel, we're the ones that kind of hold the financial boundaries, which I know for like wellness folks, that's hard, right? It's like the people in this industry tend to be empathetic and giving. And it's hard to say, no, sorry, a refund window has passed. So we kind of hold that piece as well. So the two asks basically of the prospective hosts are promoting to your people. And again, we help you do all of that. You're walked like step by step through it. Tim, my business partner, my brother, does the marketing piece down. He'll even like, you can give him guest access and wallet and he will schedule all of like the promotional emails for your retreat for you. Like you can just say like, here's your guest access. I don't even have to worry about it. So it can be very, very kind of concierge level. And then obviously showing up, the week of the retreat, offering your experience, whatever that is. Yoga, Pilates, we're so excited. Now we have one of our favorite partners in Greece where I'm going again this summer. They just purchased 22 reformers, which is amazing. Way. So there are so many Pilates people who want to do retreats and maybe do mat Pilates, but this is one of the first venues I've seen that doesn't just have reformers, but has enough to actually do like full classes. So we have, oh my gosh, I think we've got like 8 people now in, stages of planning reformer retreats there. And then at the close of the retreat, kind of one of 2 outcomes happens. One is they say that was great. Super fun. I feel now like I've gone for it once. I can kind of take this on my own. We give them all of their, their documents, their timelines, their templates. So they can just go forth, duplicate, either at the same venue or anywhere else. Or they might say that was really easy and fun. And I have no desire to like take on, the financial piece or the logistics. I would love to partner with you guys again. And then they get increased compensation for the next one. So how it works is we pay our hosts $3,500. So kind of in exchange for leading the experience, for promoting it to their audience, they get a cash bonus of $3,500 plus all like airfare, retreat expenses, transportation, plus 30% profit share on any registrations beyond the minimum. So instead of being like, am I going to lose money on this? You can go, okay, guaranteed, I'm at least going to make some money on this. And we really like to think of it as like a paid internship, which is why we call it the retreat residency. So I just feel like most people learn best by doing. So it's an opportunity to kind of like jump right in there, kind of take on the parts of the planning that feel good. And then, getting paid for the experience. When we tell people about it, it's funny because sometimes we'll get one of 2 responses, which is either it's like too good to be true. What's the catch? Like, are you going to make me sign a non-compete or like, mark it to my database for your other retreats or what have you? The answer to that is no, that we are, adequately compensated by your guest payments. We take that chunk of the profit post paying out, obviously, all of the expenses associated with the retreat, but also the leader compensation. And then we get other people who say, well, if I have enough people to run a retreat, why wouldn't I just do that on my own and keep all the profit? And that's absolutely a valid
do it.
For people. Right, exactly. So for people, there are totally people who want to do that, can do that, do that. And we are in no way trying to convince people that you shouldn't run your own retreats. So if you're already successfully doing that, or if you want to take that on, like rock it. Absolutely. But this is, I think, just a really outstanding opportunity for kind of that part of the market that has an audience, but would like support to kind of do their first, especially international venture, right? Yeah. It's different if you're doing like a 2-day thing close to home. It's something else entirely when you're thinking about bringing people, to a different
overseas. Yeah, it's such a different story, and there are going to be things that go wrong when you get there.
Oh my God!
So I mean, people's flights will be canceled. Somebody will lose their luggage. Like things happen, and so it's nice to have just a support system of folks who have gone through it.
Absolutely. And I would flag that too, because not everyone is going to have kind of the personality to enjoy hosting a retreat, and it's okay. Like if there are people who they'll get like stomach cramps just thinking about guests missing a flight or there being weather or something going wrong. And I can guarantee you something will go wrong on your retreat because that's just the nature of the beast. You can absolutely navigate it, have a beautiful experience. But for people who are like, oh my gosh, I just like, I'm going to need to be able to control every single detail. This is definitely not the right fit. The ability to kind of roll with chaos and still be present and calm and grounded for your guests is so huge. I mean, with every retreat, I could give you examples, but one is for a retreat in Italy. Number one, I was sick. So that was a bit of a shuffle in terms of our like lead. But then also, when everyone arrived in Milan, there was a massive protest. So the train station where our folks were meeting the shuttle, like all of the streets around it were closed. And obviously our venue can't control that. And Hannah, again, our amazing retreat lead planner, figured it out like on the ground, did an amazing job, coordinated, with the venue. They found a new place to meet. It all went beautifully. But there are going to be those little moments, and we are available here for the plan. Like you can call us and we will like be the intermediary between the venue and the group and kind of help navigate all of those things. But I do just like to say, if someone's just like, oh my God, that would be my worst nightmare, probably you're going to end up feeling more stressed during the week than would be worth it for you. But if you're kind of like, okay, we'll do our best at planning everything. I know I've got like Jen and her team behind me. I know I've got the venue. I can kind of keep a smile on my face if things go, a little goofy. Again, we're talking about the things that we can't control.
Right.
Then that's really, absolutely the right personality type for sure.
I have my way of handling those things is that's going to be a good story someday. Like when things are really bad in the moment, that's one of my things I say in my head or out loud to people if they need to hear it is like, I can't wait to tell this story 5 years from now.
Type 2 fun. Have you heard that? Type 2 fun, where it's like not fun in the moment, but it's fun telling people about it later. Like you're like, okay, this like, sometimes I say that like with, a challenging class. I'm like, okay, guys, this is like type 2 fun. You're not having fun now, but like you'll be able to like feel the sweaty glow afterward, brag to people like what you did.
Oh my gosh, I'm stealing that now. I love that phrase.
It's so good. But that being said, I would say I just can't even tell you how much I enjoy the experience of leading these retreats and just the pure fun that comes out of them. I think so much in this industry, there's focus on transformation and healing, and that's really beautiful. But I also think it's fine to say we're doing like a fun bar retreat, and the goal is to move and to laugh and enjoy good food. So I also just want people who are listening to this who are maybe going, okay, I don't see myself necessarily as like a healer. Are retreats still for me? Yes, absolutely. The nice thing is you can customize it to your particular group to kind of the medicine that you put out in the world will be reflected in that.
Amazing. Oh, well, I think that is a perfect place to tie a bow on this because I think whatever magic you bring to the world, people are going to want to experience that, and in a beautiful place across the country, or across the world is even better. Awesome. Well, tell our audience, please, where they can find you. What is the best way for them to get in touch with you and learn all the things?
Absolutely. You can go to elevateretreats.io. So it's .io, not .com. Elevateretreats.io. There you can download our host info packet that has more information about our venues, how the compensation works, how to get in touch with me with any questions. You can reach me at jen@elevateretreats.io. And then our website as well has specific availability for venues right now with weeks that have open opportunities to host. So they can just click on that. You'll go right to my Calendly page. You'll fill out a quick form with more information about you. We'll book like a 20-minute call. Again, I'll learn about your background goals. We'll talk about, whether it feels like a good fit. And then if it is, we kind of move forward into planning. And I'm available too on Facebook, Jen Tullis Russell. Folks are welcome to reach out anytime there too.
Yeah, Jen has a really robust Facebook group, and so if you guys connect there, I'm sure you can get in there and hear some of the success stories and funny stories and learn from everybody
Absolutely.
who's been doing it. Well,
Absolutely.
thank you so, so much for spending time with us and for doing the work you're doing. Gosh, it's
Oh,
incredible.
it's a hard job, but someone's got to do it. So I'll hang in
Awesome.
there.
All right. Well,
Thank you, Laura. It was so much fun talking.
yes, you too. All right. We'll see you guys next time.